guys, it's Allie. I figured it would be a fun idea to do this triad chapter challenge video thing. Yeah. Basically, what you do is you take a set of books, you read the first chapter, and then you decide among those books which one you're going to read next. And I really think that this would be beneficial to me because I have no idea what I want to read next. So let's go ahead and get into it. This book I am going to be reading a chapter of is Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, The Hammer of Thor. This is the second book in the Magnus Chase series, and this is a series centered around Norse mythology. And this is just a really action-packed and hilarious series, and I just really enjoyed the first book, so I know that I'm going to love the second. Everybody has given this high praise, and I just know that I'm going to really enjoy it. I've read about 50 pages of it, and it was absolutely hilarious, like laughing out loud, nearly crying, hilarious. So there's no good reason why I haven't read it. I've had this since it was released back in October of 2016, and I still haven't read it. So I am going to read the first chapter again, and maybe this will just show me whether I should be reading this one or one of the other four I have stacked here. So here goes nothing. Well, that certainly was an interesting first chapter. It really sets up the plot, I think, pretty nicely. I know the really laugh out loud funny stuff doesn't start until the next chapter, because I actually do remember that. But I don't think I'm in the right mood for this currently, so I think I'm going to set this one aside for now. This is not one that I think I'm going to be feeling. It's also urban fantasy, and I don't know if that's what I'm really in the mood for, but we'll see. Now on to Wind Witch. I've talked about this in a couple of videos, so you all should know that this is the sequel to Truth Witch. It's high fantasy. I loved the first book. I read the prologue for this, but I haven't read the official first chapter, so what I'm going to read is the first chapter, depending on how long it is. First chapter isn't too long, so I am going to read this first chapter. I'm going to see whether I like this one or Hammer of Thor better, and then I'm going to move on to the next one. Okay, so first impressions, I definitely am liking this a whole lot more than Magnus Chase. I think this was really action-packed. Oh man, it got me right in the feels. There's a sad part, and it's making me feel lots of things. And so far this is the winner because, man, I'm tearing up right now, guys. Whoa. So this one was definitely action-packed, and it really hit me deep in my heart. I just really felt for these characters, and I just really missed this world. So right now this is a winner. Next book I am going to read the first chapter of is Gathering Darkness by Morgan Rhodes. This is book 3 in the Fallen Kingdom series. That is a high fantasy series. It has multiple points of view. I read the last one in a day. So they're really easy to read, even though they're high fantasy, which is what I love about them. They're pretty much like the Game of Thrones of YA. That's what I consider them to be. And I absolutely love this series. I just haven't had a chance to get around to this one, so I figured this is the last one I actually own. There's like 2 more that's out, I think, and I just really need to get my hands on them, but I already promised myself that I wasn't going to get the rest of the series till I read this one, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and read this and try to catch up a little bit more on the series because it's so great. I know I'm going to love it either way, but I am really interested to see where Morgan takes the series, so I am going to read the first chapter of this and then I will get back to you. I read the prologue because the first chapter is like a bit long, so I'm not going to read both, but wow, that's one heck of a way to open a book. Like, immediate corpse. I'm not surprised. It's Morgan Rhodes, guys. I am very excited to read this. I don't know which one I like more, Windwitch or this one. Oh, they both seem really good. I think I might still want to read Windwitch rather than this one, but this would be the one I read right after it. Because it's high fantasy, and it kind of, you know, even though there's not multiple points of view, it's high fantasy, and just the characters, I think, really relate to each other, so I might just be in the mood to read this right after I read Windwitch. So hopefully I'm going to do that. If not, then I'm just going to do it the other way around and I'll read this one first and then I'll read Windwitch. But either way, these are definitely my top 2 choices right now. Because I can't possibly choose between them. Like, how dare you try to make me do that? I am going to read a chapter from is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 3rd and final book in this portion of the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, as she is going to be expanding on this series with different characters as I understand it. And this series is one of my all-time favorites. I have loved the first and the second one. I liked the first one, but I absolutely loved A Court of Mist and Fury, which is the second book, and I am really excited to see how she wraps up the series because I heard from people that it's really satisfying. So I am going to read a chapter of this and then I will let you all know what I think. I actually only read the prologue because the first chapter is kind of lengthy, which is very true to Sarah J. Maas fashion. So it was like a prequel to like one of the characters, like what they were like before the first book. I think it was like a couple years before the first book, and it was very brutal, very bloody and gritty, as was War, so I think it was very enlightening, but I am not feeling the pull to read this right now, so I think I'm going to set this one aside. I don't think this is one of the ones I want to read right now, so this is going to be in the do not read for now pile, sort of. Whatever you want to call it, I'm not reading it right now. The book I'm going to be reading is Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. This is the 2nd book in the Dark Artifices series, which is part of the Shadowhunters Chronicles, which is the Mortal Instruments, the Infernal Devices, Shadowhunter Academy, and more stories as well. But this is a book that I've been putting off for literally ever. I really need to get into it, but it's so chunky, like it's over 700 pages that I'm like really terrified to read it. But hopefully we'll just see if I feel the desire to read it or not. So I will read, like, the first chapter is incredibly long. So I am probably going to read a couple pages of it and then I will update you all. So not a lot happens in this book, like in the first couple pages of the first chapter. We're just meeting an old character and meeting one we met in the and like seeing one we saw in the last book. I'm trying to be vague, I'm sorry. But I'm not really feeling the pull to read it, but that's normal. Cassie Clare's books kind of take me a minute to get into. Once I'm in, then I just can't stop reading it. But it's gonna take me a bit. I think I'm gonna have to at least get 50 to 100 pages into it before I can actually say, hey, I'm gonna read this. Hey, I'm not going to, but I really don't want to set aside that kind of time right now. So I don't think I want to read this. I think that I'm going to choose between Wind Witch and Gathering Darkness. So I think this is going to be in the do not read for now pile. These are the two books I think I'm going to be reading next. I think I'm going to start with Wind Witch and then I'm going to move on to Gathering Darkness. So I think that this has been a very successful experiment. It's probably longer than it should have been. Do you want to see me try to actually pick this stack of books up? Because there are a few big books in there and it's heavy. So let's see how this goes. I'm sitting down, so like I don't need to stand up to do it, but oh well, would you look at that? Carrying it. Oh no, I'm losing it. Okay. I got it. But that is going to be it for this video today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.